There comes a moment in every life when the weight becomes too much, when the nights stretch longer than the days, when the heart beats beneath burdens it was never created to carry. And maybe today you're listening with a smile on your face, but a storm in your soul. Maybe you've grown so used to acting strong that people don't even see the cracks anymore. But God does. And He's whispering to you right now, give it to me. I can handle what's too heavy for you. For some, that burden is fear. For others, it's the ache of a dream that collapsed in your hands. Maybe your burden has a name: loss, betrayal, addiction, financial struggle, sickness, loneliness. We all carry something. And sometimes we carry it far longer than we should. We cling to battles we were never meant to fight alone. We try to fix what only heaven can heal. I once met a man who told me his story. He said, I spent years pretending everything was fine. I smiled at people in the daylight and cried alone at night. I held my world together with tired hands. And then he paused, wiped a tear, and said, but when I finally let go, when I finally handed the weight to God, I felt a peace I hadn't felt in years. His story is not unique. Countless people hold on until their strength runs out, and only then do they realize the miracle was waiting the whole time on the other side of surrender. You see, God never asked you to carry the full load. He never designed your shoulders to hold everything life throws at you. He never intended for your mind to stay tangled in the what-ifs, or your heart to be chained to the past. He didn't call you to live exhausted, discouraged, overwhelmed, or afraid. He called you to live free. But freedom comes when you release the weight, when you finally place it in the hands of the one who can bear it. There was once a young girl who held a large stone in her hand. She carried it everywhere she went, refusing to set it down. Day after day, the stone seemed to grow heavier. Someone asked her, why don't you let it go? She answered, because it's mine. And the reply came gently, just because it's yours doesn't mean you were meant to carry it. The moment she released the stone, her steps became lighter. So many of us are like that little girl. We drag our burdens along because they feel familiar, or because we fear what life will look like without them. But God says, cast your cares on me, for I care for you. Not just the small cares, but the heavy ones. The ones that keep you awake. The ones you don't talk about. The ones you've hidden so deep that even you don't look at them anymore. Maybe you've prayed before and felt nothing change. Maybe you've asked for strength but still felt weak. Maybe you've asked for answers but still felt lost. But hear this, surrender is not a one-time moment. It's a daily placing of your heart into God's hands. It's waking up and saying, Lord, this is too much for me, but not too much for you. It's trusting even when the storm hasn't stopped yet. It's believing even when you can't see what God is doing behind the scenes. Sometimes God doesn't remove the burden immediately. Sometimes He strengthens you first. Sometimes He teaches you through the weight. Sometimes He lets you walk through the valley so you can discover that He's the God who walks beside you. The miracle isn't always the removal of the problem. Sometimes the miracle is the peace God gives you in the middle of it. There's a story told of a shepherd who carried a wandering lamb on his shoulders. The lamb had walked far from safety, searching for grass in places filled with danger. But the shepherd didn't scold the lamb. He didn't push it away. He lifted it, carried it, and brought it home. That is what God does for you. When you wander, He doesn't condemn. When you fall, He doesn't abandon. When you break, He doesn't turn away. He meets you right there, lifts you up, and carries you when you can no longer walk. But He asks you for one thing, trust. Not perfect performance, not flawless faith. Just trust. Trust that He is strong enough. Trust that He loves you enough. Trust that He sees the tears no one else sees. Trust that He is working where you cannot work. Trust that He knows the path when you cannot see the next step. You may not understand what you're facing right now. You may not know why certain doors closed, why certain people left, why certain seasons felt so dark. But none of it is wasted. God uses every tear, every trial, every disappointment to shape you, prepare you, strengthen you, and draw you closer. What the enemy meant to break you, God will use to bless you. What was meant to destroy you will become the very thing that lifts you higher. But you must let go. Release the grip. Stop replaying the past. Stop fearing the future. Stop trying to hold everything together. You were never meant to carry the world. You were meant to trust the one who created it. Right now, imagine everything weighing on you. Every fear, every heartbreak, every burden resting in your hands. Imagine the heaviness of it. Now picture the hands of God reaching toward you. Larger than your pain, stronger than your struggle, kinder than your greatest hope. And hear Him say, "Give it to me. You don't have to carry this anymore." There is freedom in surrender. There is healing in release. There is rest in trusting God. You'll breathe again. You'll hope again. You'll dream again. You'll rise again, not because you are strong, but because He is. And someday you'll look back on this very moment and say, that was the day everything changed. That was the day I let go of what was crushing me. That was the day I placed the weight in God's hands. And you'll realize the burden didn't break you. It brought you to the one who could carry you. So today, right now, with whatever strength you have left, whisper these words, "God, this is too heavy for me. I place it in your hands." And let Him take it. Let Him lift it. Let Him carry you. His shoulders have never failed. His love has never fallen short. His power has never been defeated. Give it to God. He can handle what's too heavy for you. And when you do, you won't just survive, you'll overcome. You won't just endure, you'll rise. You won't just make it through. You'll emerge stronger, freer, and filled with a peace this world cannot give. Let go. And let God carry what you no longer can. You were never designed to carry every burden alone. God's strength begins where yours runs out. There comes a point in every person's life when the weight becomes too heavy, when the load they've been holding starts to press against the deepest parts of their heart. Some people try to hide it behind forced smiles, busy schedules, or quiet silence, but the truth still echoes inside them. I can't keep carrying this. And that moment is not a sign of failure. It is the signal that you've reached the limit of human strength. You were never created to hold the entire weight of your world. You were never expected to figure out every answer, heal every hurt, or fight every battle alone. To carry what was meant to be surrendered is to exhaust your soul. There is a reason your heart feels weary when you try to handle everything by yourself. From the beginning of time, God designed you with a need for Him, not because you are weak, but because He is strong. Not because you are incapable, but because His power fills the places where your strength ends. The greatest turning point in a person's life often begins at the very edge of their own ability, where they finally say, "God, I can't do this without you." That admission doesn't diminish you. It connects you to the one whose strength has no limits. Think about how you carry burdens. At first, the load may seem manageable. You tell yourself you can handle it, that it will get better soon, that you just need more time. But slowly, piece by piece, the weight grows. Worry adds a stone. Fear adds another. Disappointment stacks another on top. Soon you find yourself carrying a load that drains your spirit, tightens your chest, and keeps you awake at night. Yet you hold on because you believe you have to. But you don't. You were never designed to. God's strength steps in exactly where yours runs out. That's the beauty of who He is. His power doesn't compete with your effort. It completes what your effort cannot finish. When you have prayed every prayer, cried every tear, tried every angle, and still feel stuck, that is not the end. That is the intersection where divine strength meets human limitation. It is where God lifts what you cannot carry, opens doors you cannot open, and brings peace you cannot produce on your own. Many people believe strength means doing everything yourself. But true strength is recognizing the moment when your hands need to let go so God's hands can take over. Human strength has boundaries. God's strength has none. Human strength grows weary. God's strength never fades. Human strength collapses under pressure. God's strength stands unshakable in every storm. Your exhaustion is not a sign that you are broken. It is a reminder that you were created to rely on Him. When you reach that breaking point where you feel like you cannot take another step, you are closer to divine help than ever before. God is not looking for how long you can endure on your own. He is waiting for the moment you let Him step into the weight you are struggling under. His strength fills your emptiness. His power holds you up when your knees feel weak. His presence steadies your soul when your thoughts feel scattered. You were never designed to carry every burden alone. You were created to walk with a God who carries what you cannot, lifts what you cannot lift, and holds you steady when life feels overwhelming. His strength doesn't begin when life gets easy. It begins right where yours ends. Surrender is not weakness. It is the doorway to peace, freedom, and divine intervention. So many people misunderstand surrender. They imagine it as giving up, losing control, or accepting defeat. But in the spiritual realm, surrender is none of those things. It is not raising a white flag in hopelessness. It is opening your hands so God can place something greater into them. It is not stepping back from life. It is stepping into the strength of the one who knows the path you cannot see. Surrender is the moment your heart finally stops wrestling and begins resting in a power far greater than your own. There are moments in life when human effort reaches its limit. You try, you push, you fight, and you do everything you know to do, yet nothing seems to shift. The more you try to fix things on your own, the heavier they seem to become. This is where frustration begins to form, where anxiety creeps in, and where your mind races in circles, searching for a solution that refuses to appear. But surrender breaks that cycle. It frees you from the exhausting illusion that everything depends on you. It lifts the pressure you were never meant to carry and places it in the hands of God, who knows exactly what to do with it. There is a kind of peace that only comes after surrender. When you finally let go of what's been tearing at your soul. It's not the peace the world offers, the temporary calm that comes and goes. It's a deep, steady, unshakable peace that settles inside you because you know that God is now in control. You stop forcing things that don't fit. You stop clinging to what's slipping away. You stop replaying conversations in your mind or worrying about what tomorrow holds. Surrender brings clarity to confusion and rest to the restless places in your heart. Many people fear surrender because they think it means losing control of their lives. But the truth is, control was never really theirs to begin with. There are storms you cannot calm, hearts you cannot change, outcomes you cannot manipulate, and doors you cannot open. No matter how strong or intelligent or determined you are, life will always bring you to moments where your power ends. And it's in those moments that surrender becomes your greatest strength. Not because you have run out of options, but because you are choosing to trust the one who sees the beginning and the end all at once. When you surrender, you invite divine intervention into your situation. You allow God to move in ways you could never orchestrate. You give Him permission to break chains you've been trying to break for years. You create space for miracles you didn't even know you needed. God moves most powerfully in hearts that are open, willing, and surrendered. Not perfect, just surrendered. Surrender doesn't require understanding. It requires trust. You may not know how everything will unfold. You may not see the full picture yet. You may not understand why certain doors closed or why certain seasons felt so heavy, but surrender says, God, I trust you more than I trust my understanding. It's choosing to believe that even when everything feels uncertain, God's plan is still good. It's believing that He knows what you cannot see and is working even when you feel nothing at all. Surrender releases you from the battle of fighting alone. It untangles your heart from fear, releases your mind from overthinking, and positions you to receive what God has been waiting to give you. When you surrender, you align yourself with a power that cannot fail, a wisdom that cannot be mistaken, and a love that never runs out. God can use your deepest pain as the foundation for your greatest breakthrough. There are seasons in life when the pain feels so sharp, so personal, and so overwhelming that it becomes difficult to see anything good ahead. In those moments, the heart aches in a way words can barely describe. You wonder why certain things had to happen, why people you trusted turned away, why plans you believed in fell apart, or why life took a direction you never expected. Pain has a way of blinding us, making us believe that the moment we're in is the end of our story. But pain, in the hands of God, becomes preparation. What feels like the breaking point often becomes the turning point. There are experiences that leave marks on the soul, memories that linger, wounds that don't heal quickly, and burdens that seem to follow you like shadows. Yet it is often these very places of brokenness where God begins His greatest work. Pain softens the heart. It cracks open the places where pride once lived. It reveals your deepest needs, exposes your weaknesses, and strips away the illusions of control. These moments don't come to destroy you. They come to shape you, mature you, and position you for something greater than you could imagine for yourself. Sometimes, pain is the only thing strong enough to push you into your purpose. Without certain disappointments, you would have settled in the wrong places. Without certain losses, you would have clung to things that were never meant to stay. Without certain heartbreaks, you would have continued down a path that looked comfortable but wasn't aligned with your destiny. God doesn't cause all pain, but He certainly knows how to use every piece of it. Every tear, every setback, every unanswered question becomes a tool in His hands, carving strength, compassion, wisdom, and resilience into your character. Think about people who have experienced powerful transformations in life. Their stories rarely begin with comfort. They begin with hardship. They begin in valleys, not mountaintops. They begin in nights filled with struggle and seasons of silence. And yet, those same valleys become testimonies. Those same struggles become stepping stones. Those same silent seasons become the places where God whispers direction. Your suffering does not disqualify you. It prepares you. It deepens you. It gives you insight, empathy, and endurance that cannot be learned in easy times. When you look back at the hardest moments of your life, you may realize they were also the moments that taught you the most. Pain teaches patience. It teaches trust. It teaches dependence on God. It teaches you to let go of things you are holding too tightly. And often, without realizing it, pain is molding you into a version of yourself that is stronger, wiser, and more grounded. You may feel wounded now, but those wounds can become the very evidence of God's work in your life. There are breakthroughs that only come after brokenness. There are blessings hiding behind tears. There are new beginnings wrapped inside endings. And sometimes it is the moment you feel most lost that God is actually leading you into purpose. What feels like destruction may be divine construction. What feels like the end may be the clearing ground for a new chapter that you were created for. Pain never feels purposeful while you're walking through it, but God sees beyond the moment. He sees what this pain will develop in you, what strength it will build, what wisdom it will create, and how it will prepare you for the places He is taking you. Every struggle you face is part of a bigger story, a story where nothing is wasted and everything is used for your growth, your good, and your future. Life will always bring moments that feel overwhelming, moments when the weight of what you're carrying presses so heavily against your heart that you begin to feel like you're walking through life on shaking legs. But these moments are not signs that you are failing. They are reminders that you were never meant to do everything on your own. Every burden you've carried, every fear you've tried to silence, and every tear you've quietly wiped away has led you to one simple truth. You need God more than you need control. And when you finally understand that, everything begins to shift. Throughout your journey, you've seen how your strength has limits. You've learned that no matter how much you try to handle things by yourself, there comes a point where your hands grow tired, your mind grows restless, and your heart grows weary. But the beauty of faith is that it invites you to release the weight, not by giving up, but by giving it over. Surrender is not a sign of weakness. It is the moment when your life makes room for divine strength, divine wisdom, and divine peace to enter. It is the moment when your story stops depending on your effort alone and begins to rest in the hands of the one who has never failed. There is something powerful about letting go. When you loosen your grip on what's been hurting you, you create space for healing. When you stop fighting battles that are too big for you, you give God permission to fight on your behalf. When you release the fears that have kept you awake at night, you open your heart to a peace that the world cannot give. Letting go is not losing. It is finally choosing freedom over pressure, trust over anxiety, and faith over fear. Your struggles have not been wasted. Every moment of pain has shaped you, strengthened you, and revealed something within you that you might never have discovered in comfort. Pain has refined your perspective. It has taught you compassion. It has built a resilience in you that you didn't know you had. And though the journey through hardship is never easy, it is often through these difficult seasons that God prepares you for the breakthrough that's ahead. Your tears water the ground where your future blessings will grow. Your struggles carve space within you for deeper faith. Your broken moments become the foundation for your transformation. Now, as you stand at this point in your journey, you are invited to make a decision. Will you continue carrying what's crushing you, or will you place it in God's hands? You're not meant to keep walking with a heart weighed down by fear, disappointment, or uncertainty. You're meant to walk with freedom in your steps and hope in your spirit. And that begins the moment you choose to trust. So take a breath. Loosen your grip. Allow God to lift what you can't. Allow Him to lead where you cannot see. Allow Him to strengthen where you feel weak. You don't have to have all the answers. You don't have to fix everything. You don't have to walk through life alone. You simply have to let God be God and let His strength carry you where your own cannot.